even though MapleStory's graphics makes it look like it belongs on the Super Nintendo. That never stopped me and millions of other players from signing up and enjoying this MMORPG. If anything, the game's art style being vibrant and cartoony has made the game feel timeless. It also helped this MMORPG stand out from its competitors when it was released in 2003. Later on this year, on MapleStory's anniversary, the game's going to be turning 20 years old. When I was a kid, word of mouth spread like wildfire in my school about this game, and soon I had a handful of friends playing MapleStory. It was a great feeling to get home from school, boot up that old PC that my family used in the living room, put my login details into that billboard, and I met up with my friends within the game. We ventured into different biomes that we found within MapleStory, dressed up our characters in various armor and cash shop items, and occasionally we tried to venture as far as we could into Sleepywood before getting one-shot by enemies. But that was a long time ago. My days of running into mushrooms within the wild have soon faded away. Wait a second. How did that get there? But I decided to put on my nostalgia glasses and jump back into the world of MapleStory. And I'm gonna be honest with you. There's been a whole lot that has changed since I played the game back in 2008. But what exactly made this MMORPG change so drastically? For that answer, we have to go back to the explosion of social media. Let's take a deeper dive into how social media changed MapleStory. The year is 2005. MapleStory first launched in North America, with many players entering the game in 2007 and 2008. Back in the day, social media was very limited, and of course you had platforms like MySpace, but it never blew up in popularity. So a great way to socialize with friends and pass the time was to log into online MMORPG games. Now, if you had parents that were never willing to pay for subscriptions on games like World of Warcraft or RuneScape, and I had those types of parents growing up, then those types of MMORPG games were off the table. But a free-to-play MMORPG game called MapleStory that had 2D graphics, meaning my family's old living room PC that ran like a potato, it could run this game? Yeah. This game had my name written all over it. One of the best things about the game is sometimes a large portion of players would just hang out in towns and chat with each other. You have various different emotes to change your character's facial expressions while chatting. There were also benches that you could sit down on while you were hanging out, and there were countless options of clothing items to wear in order to kit out your character the way you want. And you could run wild with your ideas of who you wanted to play as in MapleStory. You could also get married to other players within the game and hold a virtual wedding. In conclusion, the game is tailored to those that wanted to use MapleStory as a virtual space to chat and chill with your friends. So you can only imagine what happened when platforms like Facebook took off. People now had other websites to use to message their friends. Sure, you could log into MapleStory with your friend, and I mean, playing a game where you can explore the world, dress up your virtual character, and chat with each other, and that's more entertaining than just chatting on a website. But there is a barrier to entry. First, not everyone's Wi-Fi is the best, so if it's easier to log into Facebook to chat with your friends from school, people are going to do that instead of downloading the Nexon launcher and waiting for hours and hours until MapleStory is done installing. When I first played the game, I had to secretly keep my family's living room PC on overnight in order to make sure that the game properly installed without turning off the computer. With platforms like Facebook, even they had games to keep players occupied. They were easy to play since they were playable within a browser itself. So competition is rising. And how did the developer Nexon handle social media sucking away its player base? Easy. Just add Farmville into MapleStory.
Chicken.
That's right, they legit copy and pasted one of Facebook's most popular games into MapleStory. Are you getting tired of attacking orange mushrooms? Do you not feel like adventuring out into Sleepywood? Well, have no fear. Just simply log into MapleStory's version of Farmville and enjoy. Now you gotta give Nexon a bit of credit. It does have a paint job to make it look like it belongs in the MapleStory universe. So if we look at the MapleStory version of Farmville, it's clear to say that social media definitely impacted this game. But there was also a lot of competition from other games being released to draw players away from logging back into MapleStory. Let's be honest, the gameplay of MapleStory is fun. Don't get me wrong, I played a fair amount of hours in this game just to get footage for this video. But let's be real here. The gameplay of MapleStory is okay after a while. I mean, when you have other games released back in the day like Kingdom Hearts 2, Little Big Planet, Call of Duty World at War, and other titles that were popular around this time, you now have to go against games that not only look better visually, but also have more interesting gameplay. And at one point, you get tired of seeing the same skills over and over and over and over again as you play this MMORPG. And Nexon was aware of it, because now players had a bigger voice to speak out about how they felt. With websites like Twitter, you could complain about how you felt about the game. Obviously, Nexon needed to act fast in order to keep its players occupied. Now, back in 2008, when you made a character on MapleStory, or an explorer as they called it, you started off as a beginner class. When you reached a certain level, you could pick which class you wanted that character to be for the rest of the game. The classes were Warrior, Magician, Bowman, and Thief. Later on, they added the Pirate class. Whatever class you pick, you would be stuck as this class for the rest of the game. But have no fear, at a certain level, you would get a job advancement that would allow you to pick a specific subcategory of class. For example, if you picked a Magician, when it comes time to picking your job advancement, you could choose to become a Fire Wizard, an Ice Wizard, or a Cleric, but you could only pick one. These jobs would advance you further down the line as you leveled up to grant more powerful skills to use. It was also easy to understand which armor you could wear in the game, as it showed below what types of classes could wear whichever armor or weapon you found while exploring. All in all, it was a very super and simplistic system that Nexon had within their game, and it was great because it was very easy to explain to your friend in order to get them to join the game. It made the game fun because everyone started out as a beginner class, but as you slowly leveled, you may run across a warrior using a giant two-handed sword and think, wow, that looks sick. Later on, you may see a magician walk by and cast a really cool looking spell on an enemy. So as you played the game, you slowly got introduced to what different classes there were, and that kind of helped you form your opinion on what class you would pick. Now, of course, you may want to play other classes, and no problem. Nexon made it easy for you to create a new character and choose a different class. Nexon believed that alternative classes were the way to go to entertain its player base. Sure, back in the day, it may take you several months to hit max level on one of the classes in the game, but if you had multiple characters that all had different classes and you wanted to level them all up, then you'd be stuck playing MapleStory for a long time. Take a look at World of Warcraft. Here are the current classes you can pick from. It's pretty simple other than figuring out which races can be certain classes. Let's bring our attention over to Lord of the Rings Online. These are the classes you can pick from, with the same problem of World of Warcraft, that certain races can only be certain classes. And last but not least, my favorite MMORPG that handles this aspect perfectly is Guild Wars 2. It doesn't matter what race you pick, you can choose any class. There are 9 to pick from, so it's not too much to digest. Now for MapleStory, they didn't just add 1 new class. They didn't add 2 new classes. They added 47 new classes.
Hi, yeah, I'm actually wrong. In the video, I keep saying they added 47 new classes, and that's completely wrong. Obviously, my brain couldn't do math on this day. They added 37 new classes. This is if you're not counting the original Warrior, Magician, Bowman, Pirate, and Thief class. Just to give you guys a heads up, I'm gonna be a bit critical about MapleStory in the next section of the video, but I'm gonna be upfront with you guys. I like this video game, so much so that I actually have the boss Zakum, or Zakum, I don't know, however you pronounce it. I have him tattooed on my hand, so trust me, there's a special place in my heart for MapleStory. But as of right now, as I'm making this video, there are 42 classes in the game. This is just me correcting myself. There are not 47 classes in the game, there are 42. Alright, that's all. Hope you enjoy the rest of the video. Please like and subscribe. See you later.
And they didn't just add new classes for beginners to pick from. Nope. They added completely different classes under their own unique names with storylines to play. And so much more that I don't even know about all of it. Really, it's overwhelming when you make a new character in MapleStory. What kind of MMORPG has this many classes? Seriously, is there anyone out there in the world of the MapleStory community that has played all these classes and got them to max level? Now don't get me wrong, when an MMORPG adds a new class in the game, it's cool. I mean, tons of people talk about it on social media, so it gets the game back into people's ears. It sparks up plenty of conversations on Reddit and YouTube, and Nexon knows that this idea would keep keep MapleStory relevant, as players who play the game would talk about it to their friends and discuss about it on social media platforms. But I wish Nexon just took a different approach with adding new classes into the game. Reason being is this: it's not new player friendly whatsoever. Other MMORPGs have the right idea of simplifying the process. Now, I don't know about you, but when I start playing a brand new MMORPG, the last thing that I want to do is read a class list the size of a restaurant menu before finally deciding on what class I should pick for my character. That's not fun. Let me be clear. I don't mind having so many options. What I dislike is now everyone starts in different areas and corners of the world. This simplistic description of, when you make a character in MapleStory, you start off as a beginner and you can pick a class later on in the game. Yeah, well, now that gets thrown out the window. Sorry, little Jimmy. On top of the original 5 classes in the 47 that they added, now you're gonna have to read all 52. Am I reading that correctly?
Nope.
In a dream world, I wish everyone started off as a beginner and they could venture out into a corner of the world and pick one of the many 52 classes to begin as. That would make things so much easier for new players to enter the game. Am I the only one that thinks that? I think it's just easier to get new players into the game if we have the old school, hey, you pick a class later on in the game, there's tons of classes to pick from, but we all start as beginners. Hopefully a video like this can help establish change, and it wouldn't be the first time that Nexon listened to players who spoke out loud on social media. For the endgame of MapleStory, if you get a piece of gear with a certain amount of stats that you don't prefer, you'll have to use a cube to reroll the stats into a brand new stat type. And it's random, so sometimes you'll have to use many of these cubes on a piece of gear before you get something that you want. Here's where things don't go too well for Nexon. The easiest and fastest way to get these cubes is buying them all within the game's cash shop. Yikes. Real world money means that you could get your character stronger, faster, and quicker than anyone else in the game. And this upset many players within MapleStory. Nexon heard the constant feedback from YouTube videos, Reddit posts, and other platforms that players use to speak out. And soon, Nexon released servers called Reboot servers. These servers don't allow you to purchase cubes in the cash shop for real life money. Instead, players use mesos that they earned in-game. Mesos is the name of the in-game currency that you can get from just playing the game. And you can spend your mesos for these cubes. And don't think that you can just trade your friend or random players for mesos in these servers. There's no trading whatsoever. So if you find a player who has really cool gear and has good stats on his gear, you'll know that he played the game and he earned it. Thankfully, Nexon listened to its community and added these servers, because to this day, a majority of the player base plays in Reboot servers. In fact, to film footage for this video, I made a brand new character on EU's Reboot server. If you'd like to see me go on my journey to level 300, feel free to drop into my Twitch livestream and say hi. Did you play MapleStory back in the day? And would you find yourself ever re-downloading the game to check out the Reboot servers? Let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, stay hydrated, gamers.